This is not a third world country. This is the Tijuana River, which flows in from Mexico and cuts across the southern edge of San Diego County.
No one has a right to damage or destroy a river.
I'm here with international river conservationist Mark Angelo, who recently traveled the globe, documenting river pollution.
These kind of chemicals, they don't break down, and they travel around the world.
In China, Bangladesh, India, and Indonesia. Angelo and I had to be taken by the U.S. Border Patrol into this area of San Diego along the Tijuana River. It's deemed a no-go zone.
That just goes to show how extensive the pollution problem is here.
Border agents exposed to the water have been hospitalized with skin rashes and burned lungs. Some even found their boots dissolved.
We've seen heavy metal pollution on a lot of the rivers that we've worked on and traveled on over the years, including during the making of River Blue.
If you travel where most of the world manufactures, you end up with having rivers that are turning blue.
In this case, there looks to be heavy metal issues around things like cadmium and chromium, and from a health perspective, they're dangerous substances.
The Border Patrol complained about the obvious chemical releases and samples taken from the river in late 2016 and the spring of 17 back up their claims.
I've never seen the kind of boot and plastic erosion that we're seeing from the Customs and Border Patrol. This is more than sewage.
Test results from the water in the Tijuana River here, they show arsenic, cadmium, chromium, copper, lead, nickel, silver, zinc.
It's a serious concern. Those are indicators of industrial wastes, and they simply have no place in a natural river.
David Gibson, the head of the San Diego Water Board, says there's a major issue with illegal dumping south of the border.
I look at the pollution here, and I think it really illustrates how people that live at the bottom end of the river, in this case San Diego County, how vulnerable they are to actions that take place upriver on the other side of the border. And I think that highlights some of the perils of trying to protect and care for an international river.
This comes from industries, and they could include some of the maquiladoras in the city of Tijuana, businesses that are discharging to the sewer or into the storm drains or into the canyons themselves.
Gibson reveals the bright blue and blood red pools of water that collect in the canyons of the South Bay are caused by dyes from a tannery in Tijuana.
They're dumping solvents, plasticizers, things that you would use to make tiles, for example, or PVC pipe. We're also seeing dyes, tannery wastes. We're also seeing pesticides, herbicides, and other organic solvents.
Head into Tijuana's booming industrial park and you see over 600 maquiladoras line the canal that feeds into the Tijuana River. There are Fortune 500 companies on down to small operators.
Maquiladoras have been inconsistent in capturing their waste. So a lot of the heavy metals and chemicals that we're seeing in the river are probably the result of illegal releases from factories like these, and this canal leads right to the river.
As we follow the water back toward the U.S., there are areas in Tijuana where the smell of raw sewage is thick in the air. The river is filthy. During every rainstorm, this is what flows into San Diego's South Bay. This canyon within eyesight of the ocean was just cleaned up by state parks. But if you turn around, what's left behind is still a toxic pond.
Over the next several years, I think obviously we have to upgrade and expand waste treatment facilities without question. I'm also hoping that if free trade is to be renewed, that the environmental component of free trade will in fact be strengthened, enforced.
Solutions, Angelo says, might prevent what we've seen in 2017. Over 160 million gallons of sewage-tainted water spilled into the U.S. from Mexico, tracked by the International Boundary and Water Commission.
I think when it rains, it carries all of this pollution, industrial pollution as well as sewage. The whole system up above gets overwhelmed, and an immense amount of pollution goes all the way down to the ocean.
It dumps into the water off Imperial Beach. Sewage has been tracked in the currents by the Scripps Institution of Oceanography as far north as Point Loma and south into Mexico.
We can turn around a situation like this, but it's going to take some strong action, some real commitment. But I've always believed you should never give up on any river.